Hello, Year 7 again. So another video where you can stop and pause, make notes when you need to through this video. So we're looking at this chemical reaction combustion in a bit more detail now. I'm writing some word equations for it in a number of different situations. So combustion, and we're learning about oxides as well. What are oxides? So for your notes, this lesson, oxides are made during burning. And they are the product of combustion. Doesn't matter what you're burning, you're always going to come out with an oxide at the end of it in some form or another. So we can know about groups of substances like oxides, and it helps you make predictions about what kind of chemical reaction is going to happen. If we know an oxide is being formed, for example, and we burn carbon and oxygen, we're going to end up with an oxide. And it's a carbon oxide or carbon dioxide. Other groups of substances include sulfates, carbonates, acids, chlorides, hydrocarbons. So we've looked at a number of different chemical reactions. We looked at carbonates. We've looked at all these different kinds of chemical substances. Very much the same rules when we're talking about oxides. The last one, hydrocarbons burn to make both carbon dioxide and water. Come back to that later. Now, let's look at a few examples. So number one, look at some products of combustion. The very simplest equation is when we're burning carbon. So wood, for example, is made out of a lot of carbon in wood. So charcoal, in fact, is almost 100% carbon. So when we burn carbon, we get carbon and oxygen combining to form carbon dioxide. Okay, so that's what happens on your barbecue. And this carbon dioxide is a very common gas from combustion reactions. We can also burn metals. You've done it in class, magnesium, combined it with the oxygen of the air, and you've made magnesium oxide. That was a white solid, wasn't it? A white powdery solid. So carbon dioxide and magnesium oxide are both products of combustion. All the products of combustion are oxides. Oxides are made when oxygen reacts with other substances. So let's look at hydrogen. You probably haven't used this fuel, but you've done the squeaky pop test. So when we burn hydrogen with the oxygen in the air, we actually form water. Now another name for that is hydrogen oxide. Because we combine the hydrogen with the oxygen, we make an oxide, right? So it's called hydrogen oxide. Methane is actually this thing called a hydrocarbon. You remember down here we said hydrocarbons burn. Methane is a hydrocarbon, which means, very simply, it contains the elements hydrogen and carbon. So if we combine these two reactions together, hydrocarbon, methane, plus oxygen gives us carbon dioxide and water. Because there's the water, there's the carbon dioxide. Okay, that's how we get those. Because if a fuel contains both hydrogen and carbon, we're going to get those two products made. Hydrocarbons are a very common fuel. You're probably putting it in your car. Petrol and diesel are hydrocarbons. Aeroplanes run off hydrocarbons. Camping stoves, the gas in your kitchens run off hydrocarbons. Candle wax is made of hydrocarbons. So whenever you're burning a hydrocarbon, you get carbon dioxide and water formed. Okay, so that's really the basics, and we can make predictions. Let's say, for example, you're burning copper. What's the product going to be? You're right, it's copper oxide. If I'm burning aluminium, what's the product going to be? Absolutely correct, aluminium oxide. Do it again, sulfur. Non-metal this time. Yep, the product is sulfur oxide. Actually, if we burn it in enough oxygen, we call it sulfur dioxide. And this thing about burning enough oxygen is important as well. In colder countries, people have wood fires in their houses, and sometimes if there's not enough oxygen around, the burning of wood doesn't produce carbon dioxide, it produces this substance carbon monoxide. Okay. Actually probably producing both, but producing this carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. Now, carbon monoxide is actually toxic. A friend of mine was working once he's doing night duty in the fire. Chimney got blocked, and actually it meant that the fire was burning without sufficient oxygen. So carbon monoxide was being produced, and actually we caught him in time to take him to an oxygen tent in hospital. So it's very toxic and it's quite dangerous. So what you want to do is make sure fires have got plenty of oxygen to burn in, so this carbon monoxide is not produced. Okay, that's the end of the video.